The Baltic Sea, 0600 hours. 4 NATO jets on routine patrol. Clouds low, radar quiet, nothing but calm blue horizon. In the third cockpit sits a woman, Lieutenant Rachel Cross. To her squad mates, she's the quiet one. Polite, precise. A rookie who doesn't talk much about her past. Then without warning, 3 red blips bloom on radar. MiGs, crossing the border at supersonic speed. Command, we have a visual. Requesting intercept clearance. Static answers back. The MiGs lock first. Missile alerts scream through every headset. Her commander's voice cracks. Do not engage. Fall back. But Rachel's already banking left. The horizon flips. Clouds shear past her canopy. She arms her missiles manually and whispers. Falcon 1-3. Fox 3. 3 missiles. 3 kills. The radar goes silent. Her commander breaks in, stunned. Who gave that order? Rachel's voice comes back, steady as steel. No one, sir. A long pause, then someone whispers, Wait, did she just say Falcon 1-3? The cockpit falls quiet, because that call sign belonged to a pilot who was declared dead 5 years ago. Before we start, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Every week, we bring you true stories of courage, sacrifice, and the kind of heroes history almost forgot. The morning shift at RAF Lakenheath was quiet, too quiet for a fighter base. Inside briefing room C, pilots leaned over steaming coffee and half-folded mission maps. The walls hummed with radar chatter from the Baltic, the kind of low, constant buzz that meant nothing urgent yet. Lieutenant Rachel Cross sat at the end of the table, posture straight, eyes steady on her flight tablet. She was the newest member of Viper Squadron, the only woman in the room, and the only one no one really knew. To them, she was a mystery wrapped in protocol, calm, almost cold. She spoke only when spoken to, logged her flight data with textbook precision, and spent her off hours in the simulator when others were at the bar. Some said she was overcompensating for being a rookie. Others whispered she was hiding something. That morning, Major Evan Marks, her flight lead, tossed a folder onto the table. Routine NATO patrol, low threat level. We'll be wheels up at 0600. Weather's clear. Keep your heads and let's not get creative out there. There was a soft chuckle from the corner. Captain Reed, the oldest in the unit. Copy that, boss. Just babysitting the skies while the world sleeps. Rachel didn't laugh. She just checked her oxygen seals, calm and deliberate. As the pilots filed out, Mark stopped beside her. Cross, he said, tilting his head. You've got flight discipline. I'll give you that. But let's keep things by the book. Yeah? This isn't Top Gun. She looked up, eyes unreadable behind her visor. Understood, sir. He hesitated. Something in her tone unnerved him, like she wasn't agreeing, just acknowledging. Hours later, on the tarmac, the 4 F-35s stood lined up like sleeping beasts under the early Baltic sun. Rachel climbed into her cockpit, movements efficient, almost ritualistic. Helmet down, systems check, startup hum rolling beneath her like a heartbeat. Viper 1-4, you're clear for takeoff. The jets launched into the sky one by one, steel and fire slicing through the dawn. For the first 20 minutes, the flight was textbook. Blue skies, calm comms, nothing but cold air and silence. Marks called out bearings, Reed cracked bad jokes, and Cross flew like a shadow. Precise, flawless, emotionless. Then something shifted. A static pulse hit their comms, sharp and wrong. Radar feeds spiked. 3 red signatures appeared on the edge of the screen. Unidentified, fast, closing in. Marks frowned. That can't be right. Command confirmed new contacts, grid 7x4. Static again, then nothing. Reed's voice came in tight. They're Russian birds, boss. MiGs. 3 of them. High speed, no transponders. Rachel's pulse quickened. The others didn't notice, but her fingers hovered over her manual weapon system. Hold formation, Marks ordered. They'll veer off once they see we're armed. But they didn't. The MiGs crossed the borderline. Deliberate, predatory. Every training instinct screamed in Rachel's head. The radar tone changed pitch. Missile locks. Command, this is Viper 1. We're being painted. Repeat, enemy has lock. Still static. The MiGs dove first, Vapor trails cut the horizon in 3 jagged lines. "Break! Break! Defensive posture!" Marks shouted, but the formation was already scattered. Rachel's aircraft rolled into the sun, banking hard at 7 Gs. Her vision tunneled, heart steady, hands smooth. The MiGs were playing dirty, cutting low, slipping in and out of cloud banks. "Cross, fall back. That's an order." She didn't answer. Her thumb brushed the switch her father once called the point of no return. Her father. The voice she hadn't heard in years seemed to whisper from memory. "The day will come when orders won't matter, Rachel. Only the people counting on you will." Her jaw clenched. She pressed her throttle forward. "Viper 3, she said into the open channel, tone flat. "Engaging bandits." "Cross! Stand down!" Marks barked. Too late. She was gone, diving head-on into the dogfight. The first MiG appeared through the haze, slicing left, heat signature bright on her scope. She armed manually, bypassing safety. Fox 3. The missile streaked through the air. Impact confirmed. 1 blip gone. "Jesus Christ," Reed muttered over comms. "She just splashed one." The second MiG swung behind her. Rachel cut speed, flared the stealth canopy, and pulled a half roll. The enemy overshot. She fired again. Second blip. Gone. Only one left. But the third MiG had locked her. Missile inbound. The cockpit screamed warnings. "Incoming! Impact in 3 seconds." Rachel flipped to countermeasures, but the system failed. Jammed. She glanced at her backup radar. Nothing would work. Nothing except instinct. She pitched the jet nose down, full dive, the G-forces crushing her chest. The missile streaked past, detonating harmlessly in empty sky. Her breath came slow and even, just like her father had taught her. When she pulled back into formation, only 2 voices remained on comms. Shaken, breathless, silent. Marks whispered, "Who the hell are you?" Rachel adjusted her oxygen mask. "Just a pilot, sir." But inside her cockpit, just below the radar screen, a small metal tag glinted under the light. One word engraved deep into the steel. Ghost Falcon, the same call sign that belonged to her father, and the one that had been struck off every record 5 years ago. The radio was dead. The only sound left was the distant hum of the engines, and the sharp rhythmic beeping of the radar still tracking faint heat signatures disappearing toward the east. The MiGs were gone. The sky was clear, but the silence felt heavier than the fight itself. Major Mark's voice finally cut through comms, clipped and controlled. "All units, form up, now!" Rachel rolled level, her breathing steady. As she rejoined formation, no one said a word. The other pilots kept their distance, just far enough to show respect or suspicion. Back at the base, the landing strip shimmered under cold sunlight. Ground crews stood frozen as the 4 F-35s taxied in, smoke still streaking one of the wings. When Rachel climbed down from her jet, helmet tucked under her arm, she looked calm. Too calm for someone who had just defied orders and destroyed 3 enemy aircraft. Marks stormed across the tarmac, face tight. "What the hell was that, Lieutenant?" She met his stare. "3 hostiles down, sir. No NATO casualties." "That's not the point," he snapped. "You broke formation, disobeyed a direct command, and nearly triggered an international incident." Rachel said nothing. Her jaw set, eyes unmoving. The other pilots stopped pretending not to watch. Then Captain Reed, still in his flight gear, spoke softly. "Sir, if she hadn't engaged, we'd be dead." Marks froze. The words hung in the air. She didn't defend herself. She didn't have to. The radar logs, the missile telemetry, the comms recordings, all of it would show exactly what had happened. But that wasn't what scared them. What scared them was how she did it. That night, as base command assembled for an emergency review, Rachel sat alone in the locker room. Her flight suit hung beside her, streaked with salt and soot. On the bench sat a single dog tag, one she never wore around her neck. The inscription was old, worn, but clear. Captain Nathan Cross, USF. Call sign, Ghost Falcon. She turned it over in her palm, the cool metal pressing against her skin like a heartbeat. Her father's name, her shadow. She had been 17 when they told her his jet had gone down over the Syrian desert. Engine failure during a classified strike. They never found the wreck. Officially, he was KIA. Unofficially, rumors swirled. A cover-up, a ghost mission, something about stolen stealth tech. For 5 years, she had carried his tag in his silence. Now, the past was whispering back. A knock on the locker door snapped her out of it. Mark stepped inside. He looked older than he had that morning. "Command wants you in the debriefing room," he said quietly. "They're sending someone from NATO HQ." "Understood," she replied, standing. As they walked, Mark's tone softened. "You're not the only one who's ever broken an order, Lieutenant. But what you did out there, it wasn't luck. It was precision. Who taught you to fly like that?" Rachel hesitated. "My father." "Yeah," Marks muttered. "Thought so." Inside the debriefing room, the air felt colder. 3 officers sat at the table, one from NATO command, one from intelligence, and a man Rachel didn't recognize until he spoke. "Lieutenant Rachel Cross," said General Mason, his voice deep and deliberate. "We've been looking for you for a long time." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Sir?" He slid a thin file across the table. It wasn't stamped confidential. It was stamped restricted, black ops. "Your father," Mason said. "Nathan Cross. Ghost Falcon. We served together." Marks frowned. "With respect, sir, Captain Cross was killed in—" "Not killed," Mason interrupted. "Erased." The room went dead silent. Rachel's breath caught. "What do you mean, erased?" Mason leaned forward. "Your father's final mission wasn't engine failure. He was tracking a Russian splinter unit testing stolen stealth AI. His last radio call was cut mid-transmission. The code phrase he used was Falcon 13. That's the call sign you used today." She froze. "I didn't even think. It just came out." "It came out," Mason said quietly, "because it's in your blood." Marks looked between them, disbelief on his face. "Sir, with all due respect, you're saying—" "I'm saying," Mason cut in, "that 5 years ago, your rookie pilot's father went down chasing those same MiGs, and today his daughter finished the job." Rachel sat back in her chair, her pulse steady but her mind racing. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't a random patrol gone wrong. Someone had baited them. Mason stood. "Until further notice, Lieutenant Cross is on restricted duty. We'll need her in intelligence briefing at 600. Debrief ends here." Marks followed her out of the room. "Rachel, what are you not telling me?" She stopped by the hangar doors, looking out at the moonlit flight line. "You ever feel like someone's writing your story for you, sir?" "Every damn day," he said softly. She smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time I start writing mine." When she walked away, the camera of her helmet caught a reflection. The tail of her jet under hangar light. F-35B, serial 0719, Ghost Falcon 2. Somewhere in the dark, history was repeating itself. If you've been watching till now, you already know this isn't just a story about flying. It's about legacy, about bloodlines that don't break even when the sky does. So before you go, hit that subscribe button. Not for me, but for every pilot who flew into silence so someone else could live to tell the story. And if you believe heroes never really die, then stay tuned, because Ghost Falcon is only getting started. The following morning, the base was colder than usual. A thin mist rolled across the tarmac, swallowing the parked jets in pale gray light. Rachel sat in the hangar alone, her helmet on the table, her father's dog tag beside it. The hum of fuel trucks echoed in the distance, but her thoughts were far away. 5 years back in the desert, where his signal had gone silent. She still remembered the night they came to their door. 2 officers, pressed uniforms, practiced sympathy. "We regret to inform you." Her mother never recovered. Rachel did what soldiers do. She buried grief under duty. But now, after what Mason had revealed, that grief had turned into something sharper. Purpose. At Euro 600, she was back in the briefing room. The lights were dim, projectors humming. Mason stood beside a satellite map of the Baltic corridor. "We've confirmed the MiGs that engaged yesterday came from an unsanctioned Russian strike group," he began. "Unofficial, deniable, but trained. Someone's testing us. Rachel kept her expression blank. Mason continued. Intelligence suggests this isn't over. The group's leader, call sign Viper Red, is the same pilot your father chased in Syria before he disappeared. The room froze. Even Marks looked shaken. Mason turned to Rachel. You want answers, Lieutenant? This is how you get them. You'll lead a ghost flight, 2 F-35s, radar dark, over the northern route. Observation only. You see something, you don't engage. Rachel's jaw clenched. Understood. But as she walked out of the room, her eyes said something else entirely. That night, the wind howled across the runway as she strapped into her jet. The call sign on her HUD flickered faintly before stabilizing. Ghost Falcon 2. Her wingman, Captain Reed, came up beside her over comms. We really going black for this? Affirmative, she replied. No transponder, no chatter, just eyes. They lifted off into the darkness. The sea below stretched like a black mirror. For 20 minutes, nothing moved. Then her radar pinged once. Faint, deliberate. A signal so precise it couldn't have been random. Picking up something? Reed asked. Northwest quadrant, 10 miles. Single contact. No ID. As they approached, the blip disappeared, replaced by static. Then a voice, crackling, low, distorted, came through the emergency frequency. Ghost Falcon! You're late! Her breath caught. Reed's voice broke in. Who the hell? Was that Russian? Rachel didn't answer. Her father's call sign echoed in her headset like a ghost. Repeat, she said, forcing calm. Identify yourself. Nothing but wind. Then, if you're hearing this, they lied to you. Reed was scanning wildly. Rachel, where's that coming from? Below us, she murmured. Encrypted burst. She nosed her F-35 down slightly. The cloud split open, and there it was. A wreckage field, half buried in ice. Jet fragments, U.S. markings stripped. The coordinates matched her father's last transmission. Her heart pounded. Command, this is Ghost Falcon 2. I've located... Static. The signal jammed again. Then another voice came on. Male. Confident. Russian accent. You should have stayed on the ground, Lieutenant Cross. Before she could react, a missile lock warning screamed. Missile! Missile! Break right! Reed shouted. Rachel rolled hard. Countermeasures blasting, flare trails cutting through darkness. A shape roared past, a modernized MiG-35, its red star glinting under the moon. They were waiting for us, she hissed. Reed dove low, trying to flank. We've got 2 on radar now, east and west. Stay evasive, Rachel ordered, voice razor calm. Don't go head-to-head. But they didn't have a choice. The first missile missed by meters. The second grazed Reed's wing, sending sparks across the sky. Mayday! I'm hit! Trying to level out! Rachel looped behind him, systems screaming in overload. Pull up, Reed! I can't! Hydraulics gone! Then she saw it, a parachute flare opening below. Reed had ejected. His jet spiraled into the sea. Command, we've lost one! She shouted into dead air. Repeat, ghost flight under attack. No response. The entire frequency band was jammed. She was alone. The MiG circled back, hunting her. She could see the vapor line of its missile pod glowing red. Her targeting system flickered, half frozen from electronic interference. She whispered to herself, Manual it is. Her father's voice clear in memory. When the radar dies, trust your instinct. Your eyes will lie less than your computer. Rachel leveled the jet and throttled forward, baiting the enemy into a head-on pass. The MiG took it. 2 streaks of fire met in the center of the night sky. She waited until the last possible heartbeat, then rolled inverted, let the missile flash past inches below her canopy, and fired her last AIM-9 manually. The explosion ripped the dark in half. When the smoke cleared, the MiG was gone. Her radar still blind. Her comms still dead. Only silence remained. She exhaled, shaking. This wasn't random, she whispered. Someone knew we'd come. Then faintly her screen blinked. A transmission came through. Encrypted. It wasn't NATO. It was her father's voice again. I told you they'd come back for the Falcon. Her eyes widened. Dad? No response. just coordinates flashing across her display before the signal cut. Her hand trembled on the throttle. The numbers pointed far east, deep inside restricted airspace. Whatever was out there wasn't just her father's wreck. It was the truth that got him erased. And now she was flying straight toward it. If you're still watching, remember this. Some heroes don't wear medals, and some stories never make the news. Hit subscribe if you believe courage runs in families, and drop a salute in the comments for every pilot who flew into silence and never came home. Because this story, one, isn't over yet. The storm rolled in fast over the Baltic. Waves smashed against the cliffs below as Rachel's jet cut through the black clouds, lightning flashing like camera shutters across her canopy. The encrypted coordinates from her father's signal glowed faintly on the HUD, flickering numbers, leading her deeper into restricted airspace where no one was supposed to fly. Fuel low, weapons empty, communications dead. She should have turned back hours ago. But something inside her, the same voice that had pushed her into the sky years ago, wouldn't let her stop now. The coordinates led to a mountain valley buried in mist. As she descended through the storm, her radar picked up faint metal signatures below. She toggled thermal view and froze. Hidden beneath the ice was an entire hangar. No markings, no lights, no transponders. Just a single faint beacon flashing every 10 seconds. The same pulse that carried her father's call sign. Rachel circled once, fighting the turbulence. Then she saw movement, a figure stepping out from the hangar doors into the snow. Not soldiers, engineers, men in gray suits with military-grade gear. One of them held a transmitter. Another pointed at her jet. Her threat detector screamed. A surface-to-air missile launcher rose from the ground. "Not again," she muttered. She dove hard, pulling evasive, the G-forces slamming her chest. The missile shot past and detonated in the clouds above. She leveled out, teeth clenched. And then, in her headset, another voice, calm, familiar. "Falcon 1-3. If you're hearing this, it means you've made it." She froze. It wasn't live. It was a recording. Her father's voice patched through the encrypted data burst. "I don't know how long this message will last. If you found this place, it means they never stopped building it. This isn't a weapons lab. It's a ghost project. AI flight systems meant to erase pilots entirely. They used my research. I tried to stop it." Rachel's breath hitched. Her father hadn't died because of a crash. He'd been silenced. The base below lit up as more lights came online. Search beams sweeping the sky. Someone had spotted her. She flipped to manual override and armed her countermeasures. The F-35 roared as she dove straight for the mountain, skimming the ridgeline so low the snow exploded behind her in white plumes. Alarm screamed in her ears, but she stayed locked on the beacon. Below, one of the hangar doors opened, revealing a camouflage drone, massive and silent, launching on auto guidance. Its wings bore the same insignia once painted on her father's jet. "Ghost Falcon prototype," she whispered. "They finished it." The drone banked sharply toward her, weapons live. No pilot, just cold precision. "All right," she muttered. "Let's see what you learned from Dad." The dogfight that followed wasn't between enemies. It was between generations, between flesh and code. The AI read her moves before she made them, predicting angles, calculating thrusts. Every second felt borrowed. Her jet shook violently as the drone fired. She cut power mid-roll, letting it overshoot. Then at the last second, she reignited the afterburners and climbed into the clouds, her canopy fogged with heat and breath. "Come on," she whispered. "Show me your weakness." The drone climbed after her, relentless. She toggled open the emergency release, her final defense, a single flare pod wired for manual detonation. "Let's end this." She pitched the jet downward, engines howling, letting gravity take control. The drone followed. The distance closed fast. Rachel flipped the flare release. A burst of light and fire exploded behind her. The drone's sensors blinked. For a heartbeat, confusion. That was all she needed. She cut power completely and let her jet fall through its own smoke, letting the drone's targeting AI lose lock. Then before the ground could meet her, she pulled up hard, the G's crushing her ribs. The drone couldn't match the maneuver. It slammed into the cliffside, a fireball lighting the snow like daylight. Rachel leveled off, panting. Her entire cockpit smelled of smoke and burnt metal. "Target neutralized," she whispered, voice shaking. As she turned back toward open sky, the storm began to clear. The clouds broke apart, revealing faint sunlight over the sea, but her instruments were gone. The jet was barely holding together. She looked down one last time at the ruins below, the hangar, the signal tower, the ghost project that had stolen her father's life. Then she reached over, pulled his dog tag from her vest, and placed it on the console. "Mission complete, Ghost Falcon." Her eyes closed for a moment. She could almost hear him, the same calm voice that had guided her all her life. "When the sky turns against you, Rachel, fly anyway." The F-35 dipped its wings toward the horizon. Hours later, NATO search teams would find her wreckage washed up along the coast. No body, no signal. Just a torn piece of hull with one phrase scorched into it: "Ghost Falcon lives." And somewhere far beyond the radar's reach, a lone transponder blinked once, as if saying goodbye. If this story reached you, don't just scroll past. Subscribe, not for the views, but for the voices that never got heard. For every pilot who vanished without credit. For every family still waiting for a call that never came. Because heroes like Rachel Cross, and the ones who raised her, deserve to be remembered. So hit that button, share this story, and let their echoes keep flying. Let's see how far the voice of Ghost Falcon can reach.